All right, what is up, everybody? Chris Curtis here for the Rockwall Sportscenter Yellow Jacket and Hawk Update. Of course, I'm joined by my partners in crime, Billy Quinn and Stan Britton. Of course, we are here to talk about a little football for your Rockwall Yellow Jackets and Rockwall Heath Hawks. We are coming to you live from Eakin Nutrition here in Rockwall. If you don't know where it is, just look for the giant flag right off I-30 here in Rockwall. Come on down, give us a hello, and come buy some amazing products here. And of course, we thank Eakin for hooking us up with some energy drinks to get us through this show after a long day. So we greatly appreciate that. Let's dive right into Rockwall football to start off here. Before we get into 11-6A, of course, let's rewind to last week as Rockwall and Arlington Martin hit the field here in Rockwall, and Rockwall pulls out a victory. A very fascinating, very fun game, very physical game. Pretty much everything you could think of for prime time on a Friday night. It hit the nail on the head. So, Billy, talk about what Rockwall did right last Friday as far as getting that final victory of non-district play and ending their non-district season here at 3-1.
Well, they kept the offense moving, which was great to see. But the big thing about the offense was this time, even though it's weird, Braden, Locke got Offensive Player of the Week with over 300 yards passing, 6 touchdowns, and the passing game was on target. But it was the running game that was a big part of this one, with Khalil Catlett stepping in for Zach Henry again and getting 176 yards on the ground with 34 carries. I haven't seen a back get that many carries in a while. And he carried the rock and did an outstanding job and got a lot of big chunks. And that's, people forget that the Rockwall offense is run first. It really is based. Coach Webb talks about wanting to, at the minimum, be 50-50 with running and passing, but it is a run-first offense. Most people think it's just an air attack, but it's not. They just take what's out there. And so Martin decided to try to double cover Jackson. Most teams don't at first. They think they can handle it, and then they realize quickly we got to bring a safety over and do some other things. And once they start having to use other guys, that running game starts clicking, and that's what happened for Rockwall. So the running game did well. The defense had another solid game. I know when you sit here and look at 38 points given up, but they did have another good game, another couple more picks and fumble recoveries, and so they got the turnovers they've been looking for. They had a nice lead in the fourth quarter. Martin did make it close there at the end, got a late touchdown, but the Rockwall defense came through again and didn't allow them to get the tying touchdown, and here we are at 3-1 now in non-district. As for a non-district game, beating the number 7, I believe they're number 7 at that time in the area, beating the number 7 team in the area, and getting a big win over a quality team like Martin. They're very good. They're going to go in the playoffs and do some damage. To get that win, to get that momentum going into district against Longview is huge, and I know that was really important to this team. And they went out there and they did exactly what they needed to do. Avoided overall pretty much injuries. We'll hopefully get Zach Henry back this week for Longview. So the team looks good and they're prepped and ready to go against Longview.
Of course, 45-38 victory for your Rockwall Yellow Jackets. All the pub this week and really all season has been centered around one of the most dynamic football players that we'll ever see at Rockwall and possibly here in the state of Texas, Jackson Smith. I know we have a watch going right now, so kind of update us on what Jackson's doing as of this moment. Absolutely incredible.
Well, as of this moment, I really don't know what he's doing. I think he's at practice, but as far as the season goes, the record holder is Jordan Shipley when he was at Rotan, and this it's hard for me to say because they were our rival, and he was at Burnett for 3 years. But he got 5,424 yards. That's the record for receiving yards in the state of Texas. Jackson, as of now, has 4,042 yards. So he still needs just over 1,300 yards to catch Jordan. And most people say, well, wait a second, 1,300 yards, you're already closing in on halfway through the season. Well, let's remind everybody that through 4 games, Jackson has 789 yards receiving, and we haven't even gotten halfway through the season. If he has one of his usual games, and now Longview defense is very difficult to go against, and that may be the toughest defense we see, but if Jackson does what we thinks he can do, he could be over 1,000 yards halfway through the year. So it is achievable for Jackson to get there and possibly get the record. It's going to have to be consistent. He's going to have big games. Now the couple blocks in the way would be, one, if Rockwall starts getting some big leads on down the road, and I don't know if that will happen. It's a very tough district. We talked about this last time we were together. But if there is some time where he does not, a couple games ago he didn't play the second half, and so that could hurt him a little bit as far as getting yards, but that affects everybody in the starting lineup as far as their numbers go. But as of now, it looks like he's on track. If we don't go to the playoffs, and we assume we will, he needs, for the remaining 6 games, he needs to average about 230 yards a game receiving. But that does not include any possible playoff games coming up, because it includes all games on these records. And so, anyway, that's where we're at right now, and it's just unbelievable to watch this guy and the things he does. It's just amazing. Not only receiving, but he'll come in and play defense, and he's a holder on the kick, on the field goals and extra points. And we've already had one fake where he made a nice toss to our speedy kicker Spearman, who took it to the near side and got a 2-point conversion. So it's really fun to have him here. And Rockwall, you need to appreciate having Jackson here and what he does.
He's almost a Madden character at this point. It's unbelievable. Another guy that's getting some love is the quarterback, Braden Locke. Of course, he is a sophomore. Already got 2 offers on the table. Arkansas and SMU. Talk about what he's done for this team. And we all kind of were worried that, once Clark left, we got to fill a quarterback spot. But, man, this guy is taking the state by storm, and he's leading the Dallas-Fort Worth area right now in passing and touchdowns. He is the man right now.
Over 1,500 yards passing so far, 19 touchdowns, only 3 interceptions. 2 of them came in the game last week. He leads the area in the touchdowns, in the passing yards. And we didn't mention that Jackson, of course, leads in touchdowns and yardage also. So if you look at the leaderboards in the area, it's Rockwall's all over it. And, Braden's been outstanding. Sophomore, love this kid. Great attitude, great kid. His family's outstanding, and obviously Jackson's is too. We all know Jackson's family. So that's a big part of this. When you have these kids that are achieving these things that are really astronomical, is you need to have a firm base and a quality family to keep you grounded. And both these kids do. Their families are outstanding. But gotten to know Braden over the last year or so, and he's just really fun. Now that I'm starting to teach at Rockwall, he'll come by about every morning and hang out, and we'll just discuss things. And so I'd like to think that the advice from Professor Quentin has really catapulted
Professor Quentin. That's
what we're going with now. Yeah.
Okay.
And that's probably been that launch that has gotten him to this stratosphere.
Absolutely, you were the reason why.
Right. Exactly. I'm not sure how much the coaches are doing, but I do know Professor Quentin is in it and trying to help him out.
Who knew? That's all they needed to do is hire Billy Quentin.
I know. Wow. Exactly. But Braden is unbelievable talent. Just a really good kid. And a team-oriented player. That's the big thing about all this. When you talk about Jackson or Braden or any of the other players that are big part of this, as far as Zach Henry and anybody, they are all team-oriented. That's what Coach Webb and this staff pounds into them. It is about the team first. Your individual numbers, are second. It's the team, and that's what these kids know. They want to win a state championship. That's the important goal right now. If the numbers come in, that's great. But we've seen games 2 weeks ago when Braden only had 280 yards passing. Yeah, but it was the running game that carried the team then, and that's what you do. You're not forcing anything, and it is up to it's our RPO. Most of this offense is an RPO. So it's Braden making the right read, and that's the thing that's outstanding about this kid. Yes, he has the physical tools. He can throw it. He is accurate, but it's his reads. And that's what the coaching staff has been impressed with, and they feel very confident with him making these reads. And he's really going to have to lean on that against Longview. Longview has a defense that is going to be a challenge for them. And so having him and Jackson together, it's just unbelievable.
It's a wonderful combo. And let's get to the other side of the highway here with Rockwall Heath. Spradlin and the boys, they're real. They got to come back down to earth a little bit. That 3-0 start was pretty magical, but Rockwall Heath unfortunately did take the L this past week, so they lose to McKinney North 56-34. Very tough McKinney North team. Rockwall Heath, they did hang in there. They did kind of show their grit a little bit, some amazing passing. And you mentioned Braden Locke for Rockwall. Josh Hoover is right behind him, which is pretty cool to have 1 and 2 in the area right here across I-30 from each other. So talk about Rockwall Heath. What went wrong on past Thursday?
Yeah, 3 possessions really were the name of the game. Zach Evans loses 2 fumbles on consecutive possessions. Obviously, you don't score. McKinney North scores, and that's the difference in the ball game. They also held us to 1 punt throughout the first half. So those 3 possessions, those turnovers, and then the punts were definitely the difference in the game. We also had a little mishap on defense late in the first half that we allowed McKinney North to get down to the 2 with about 10 seconds left, and they score. Talking about going into halftime, trailing by 7 versus going into halftime trailing by 2 scores. And then McKinney North gets the ball back. Defense comes out and stands tall on the first possession, turns the ball back over, and you're looking at, okay, we can get back in this, and then we have a turnover, and it's a 3-score ball game the rest of the way. But all of that to say, you are playing one of the top offenses in 5A in North Texas, and McKinney North's been touted like that all season long. Some great threats in the backfield. Manny Fincher, the leading 5A rusher. The quarterback for McKinney North is the number one quarterback in 5A right now. And you got a team that's averaging 54 points and 650 yards of offense per game. You expect a shootout. You got a shootout. 1,140 yards of offense between the two teams and 90 points on the scoreboard. Pretty incredible. But Josh Hoover, 391 yards, 3 touchdowns. He did have an interception in the game, and a tough one that you want to have back. But these guys, you knew you're going to lose some games, and they've got some challenges on the schedule there. But Heath is the real deal. I mean, we can say that now. You're 3-1 through the pre-district schedule. You've got the 1 and 2 quarterbacks in the area on either side of the highway, which is really cool. And both of them sophomores. We get to watch them for the next 3 years, which is really special. But Hoover has almost 400 yards. He's sitting right at 1,400 yards on the season through the first 4 games, and looking to capitalize on that. Zach Evans, the sophomore running back, follows up a 176-yard, 3-touchdown performance against Richland with a 123-yard performance, 2-touchdown performance at McKinney North. So you've got Zach Evans sitting atop the district as one of the leading rushers in 11-6A. So pretty neat to have these guys who are not only statistical leaders, but they're playing really good football right now. And to face off against a team that puts up 50-plus points a game and 600 yards, and to really hang with them. I mean, you can point at 3 or 4 mistakes that you make that are really the difference in the ball game for the Hawks. And so they'll look to correct that as we start district play this week. And it's homecoming this week for your Hawks. We get to come back to the Wilk after 2 weeks away, and it'll be nice to have some home cooking this week.
And you mentioned Jaden. Obviously he's number 2 in the area, obviously behind the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Smith. But no offers at the moment. Is that something that's worrying him by any chance, or is he going to start seeing those come in here pretty quickly?
I don't think so. I mean, the kind of joke is that nobody really knew who he was before this year, and so Jaden comes on. He's got almost 600 yards receiving. He is behind Jackson by about 200 yards, but Jackson's only played like 10 quarters of football through the first 4 games. So, but Jaden really is trying to make a name for himself. He's done well, 660 yards receiving and 6 touchdowns for him. He's got a 90-yard play, an 80-yard play, and a 70-yard play, all for touchdowns in the first 4 games. So pretty incredible for Jaden to see what he's able to do. A tweet that was passed around on Twitter this past week of just an incredible catch and yards after the catch for Jaden. Phenomenal athlete, phenomenal kid, just a great kid with a great attitude. And if there are by chance, any college recruiters who are watching the Rockwall Sportscenter update, you've got a kid on the south side of 30 that is he's making a good name for himself and definitely deserves some looks from some schools.
Well, absolutely. And as we look ahead here now, the best thing that starts now is district schedule. Of course, I don't know if you need to say much. It's Rockwall versus Longview. It's the defending state champions against the Rockwall Yellow Jackets, who led the Longview Lobos almost the entire game last year. They fell within 7. Rodney Webb still has not beaten Longview. That, they're thirsty. They're hungry. This is the year that they want to show the world that they belong. I saw a poll today. Rockwall was about 12% down on beating Longview. I think that might inch a little higher as we go out throughout the rest of the week into tomorrow. But traveling to Longview, a very, very tough place to play. What do you say about the Longview Lobos? Obviously, that if they're undefeated at the moment, sitting atop 11-6A, along with the team that Rockwall Heath is going to face, of course, tomorrow here at home. So talk about Longview. What do they bring to the table, and what does Rockwall have to do to finally get over that hump?
What do they not bring to the table? They're tough. As you said, defending state champs. They got the quarterback is all world, and Haynes King. It's going to be going to A&M, and he's just unbelievable to watch.
Yep.
And they have an offensive line that's always solid. And what Longview does is they run the old school offense. They show up, and they may go 2 tight ends, they may go 2 backs. They don't spread it out like all the other teams do, like Rockwall does or Heath does now or whatever. It is, we're going to line it up, we're going to knock you in the mouth, and then we're going to keep running at you. And we know that. And that's the big challenge, I think, for Rockwall in this game is I'm very excited to see what our defense can do, but our defense doesn't have size. We have speed, and we're going to have to scheme some to stop this onslaught with this running game, and to be patient, because this is that's the thing with Longview, and I think what happened last year was, Rockwall led the whole game. But you keep getting pounded and pounded and pounded by this team, and you can't make mistakes against them. You make any mistakes, and you're going to pay for it. There's other teams you can play and maybe throw a couple picks, fumble it, or whatever, and then there's nothing that you have to worry about. You can just make up for it. Not against Longview and a couple other these teams in this district. And so, to me, that's the big thing. How will our defense stand up against that big line and that running game that Longview comes at you with? And the hardest thing is, we play a lot of teams that have a great running game, but when you have a quarterback, it's similar to facing Rockwall or facing Heath right now. If the quarterback is, doing, they don't really do a lot of RPOs like Rockwall does, but if that quarterback is running the show, and he's not just as Parcells used to call it, just a bus driver, if he is the one that also makes plays, it's just tough because it's just coming at you from every angle. So that's the big challenge, is stopping that offense, that running game with our defense. And, of course, they have a defense that's outstanding. They used to go 4-2-5, which meant more defensive backs in there. But now they kind of, especially against Rockwall, I think they're probably going to move some guys around. They may go with an odd front, and they got to stop Jackson. I think this will be a lot of defenses, as I mentioned before, they try to go man-to-man on Jackson at the beginning of the game thinking, well, our guys can probably hang with him. And they realize very quickly we got to get some help. But I think Longview will be the toughest challenge because I know they're going to come in and try to take away a few of these routes that we have. And so maybe Rockwall may have to lean on the running game. That's why it's important that Zach Henry is back and he's healthy and rested up and ready to go. Now he won't be able to carry a full load. He hadn't played in a game in 3 weeks. So very excited to have Catlett, coming in too. And they may go 50-50 on this thing. But it's great to see that Khalil can come in and run the ball. And I'm so excited about our offensive line going against them because we have an outstanding offensive line, and they have not gotten the credit that they should. So I want to mention them: Zalka, Haynes, Gibson, Nixon, and Joyce. These are the kids up front that we all talk about all the skill guys and all the guys that have the flash, but it's those guys. They're the ones that nothing happens unless they do their job. And excited to see what they can do against that Longview defense. But the big thing for us as spectators and broadcasters is it is a cool atmosphere. It is really fun to go to. That stadium is really neat. The pine trees surrounding it. You're in East Texas. That's a whole different world going to East Texas. And then the fans are just so passionate and they're so nice, but they're passionate. They let you know
they want to beat you.
Yeah, we're going to whip up on you. But you want anything to eat? Do you need any help? We're going to home cooking. Yeah, they're so nice, but you're going to leave bruised.
Yeah,
and that's what they do, and it's a really, really fun atmosphere. It's a really fun experience, and if you can, you got to get out there. Rockwall, obviously Friday night is there. I know Heath will be playing out there
3 weeks.
3 weeks.
Yep.
Get out there, man. Make travel arrangements, whatever you need to do. Yep. Get out there. It is an experience that is different from games around here, and it reminds me of back in the day, where you had the whole town is just focused on that one team, and Friday night it shuts down. And Longview's a bigger town, but they shut it down, and it's a really neat atmosphere. So get out there. In fact, they have over 3,000 season tickets have been sold. Constant, but they take up a portion, probably about half of the visitor side, and it's a nice sized stadium. Yeah, and they haven't lost there since 2016, and so it's just an amazing atmosphere, and it's a great team you're going up against. It's a team that you respect. Coach King is just he's done some great things there. He's been there 15 years, and just one after the other, they have these players come through and make a difference. And so I'm looking forward to it. This is fun.
Of course, the eyes of Texas will be on this game for sure. Yeah. The secret's not a secret. We all know you're Rodney Webb's neighbor. Without giving away any secrets, what is Coach Webb saying about this game? I know he's pretty quiet, especially during these games that are huge and the eyes are all going to be on him. But what's the mood set with Rodney? What's the mood set with the team going into this game? I mean, it's the first district game right off the bat. Bang.
Yeah. Normally we play Longview a little later. Yep. We have in the past, but starting it out with Longview is tough. The last couple of years we have started out with them, but I think just quietly, and it's been this way for the past few years too, and we've seen it in the scores. We're confident. They're confident that they can go and beat Longview. I know it's going to Longview. I know this is a really, really tough chore, but they feel like this is the team that can come in and do some damage. We've been so close. You talk about these previous games. Rockwall loses 42-35 last year. Ended up losing 31-21, but that was a pick six, so we were down only 3. And then they had I think they returned to the 1 and ended up scoring at the end of the game. But Rockwall was only down 3, marching down to hopefully take the lead there. 36-29 in 2016. So the last 3 years, they're poised to win this. But what happens? It's what we just talked about. A mistake here, and a mistake there, and that's what happens. They take advantage of it. So I really feel like this is a team, and they're very confident going out there. It's not years past. It used to be, man, let's go out there and hope we can hang with them. Hope we don't get beat up. Now it's let's go win. Let's go win this thing. It's going to be very difficult. It's probably it will be the toughest challenge for them all season. It's tougher than playing Highland Park, but they can go do it, and I feel like that's their attitude right now.
Absolutely, and you shift gears. Of course, it is still Beat East Texas week. Homecoming here for Rockwall Heath. 4-0 Tyler Lee comes into town. Not exactly an easy homecoming game for the Hawks at all. So. Stan, what's it take for the Hawks to take down the Red Raiders and open 1-0 here in District Play?
So a really tough defense for Lee. They're only giving up about 270 yards per game. They are 3-1. They lost last week.
3-1. Sorry, 3-1. Yes.
So non-district loss to Poteet last week, 19-14. But this team, they're averaging just a hair over 27 points a game. They're only giving up almost 270 yards per game. The difference is, believe it or not, they have the worst offense in the district. Now, that's not saying a whole lot because they're still averaging over 300 yards offense, but you have, Rockwall averaging almost 600 yards a game. Heath is averaging just a hair over 500 yards a game. So it's kind of tough to say they have the, quote, worst offense in the district because you've got some pretty high-powered offenses so far through the first 4 football games. The interesting thing to note is these are as far as holding on to the football, these are the 2 worst teams in the district, Heath and Tyler Lee. You've got a combined 15 turnovers between these 2 teams, 15 giveaways between these 2 teams. So it's going to be interesting to see how the Hawks hold on to the ball. They did a great job last week. Of course, Hoover was flawless last week in his performance against McKinney North, but we fumbled twice. So it'll be interesting to see how Heath responds to holding on to the ball, protecting the football against a team that struggles with that as well. Lee, from what I understand, Lee is without one of their dynamic running backs this week, so that could play into the game where you've got a consistent 150-yard per game rusher who is going to be out this week. That's the word on the street. I haven't confirmed that yet, and we'll be interested to see if he suits out tomorrow night. But the opportunity, I think, for the Hawks here is to kind of right the ship defensively, play strong defense against a team that's averaging 300 yards per game, and then to let that Hawks offense fly a little bit. If we can run up the score a little bit, get out ahead, protect the football, you're talking about a team that's looking at being 1-0 in district for the first time in a long time. And then being at a 4-1 start for the first time since 2013.
Yeah, very emotional Coach Spradlin last week on the sideline. Obviously not too happy with the way his team performed. Sure. Coming back this week, it's homecoming. A lot of happiness around campus. A parade that's been reignited there on campus, which is really cool. Pep rally for homecoming. What's the mood been like with Spradlin after taking his first loss as a head coach of Rockwall Heath? I mean, the guy comes in and he wins where he goes. So obviously losing is not acceptable.
Right.
So it's kind of the same way with Rockwall as losing is not acceptable. We want to win, and we want to win state championships. And Spradlin made that very clear when he was hired. We're here to win state championships. So what's the mood been like? Have we kind of turn the page and it's a brand new season now? Is that kind of the mood over there?
Yeah, I think the idea is if you're going to lose one, lose it in the non-district schedule, right? Work out the kinks, get all the things ironed out that you need to, and if you're going to take a loss, take it in the non-district schedule because you want to run the table. I mean, you've got a really hard district. You've got some really good opportunities to show some teams that hey, the Hawks are for real, and they go out against a really good McKinney North team. You turn the ball over, you get stopped on defense, and end up turning it over via the punt, and those 3 possessions made the difference in the ball game. So Spradlin, he knew it was going to happen at some point. I mean, we want to win state championships. Thankfully, you don't have to go 16-0. You can win one at 15-1. I mean, it's an opportunity that these guys believe that they can win. Believe they can win any football game. Going out against McKinney North, one of the top offenses, they were confident. And I think you learn from the loss, you learn from what happened in that football game, and you turn the corner and look at a Tyler Lee team coming in that you can beat. I mean, on paper you can beat them. It looks like on film you can beat them. And so we learn from what we did in the loss, let's turn those things around and make a win out of it against the Tyler Lee team coming in front of a homecoming crowd that is excited. Great atmosphere last night with the parade and the pep rally. Lots of energy, lots of community support. They're excited. Folks are excited. I think Spradlin has a lot to do with that, but he also has 68 kids on the varsity roster that are doing everything they can to make it exciting each and every week.
Absolutely. One of the things that Rockwall Heath is now known for is, I remember a story saying, Spradlin was saying, how many games do we need to win to, or get to the playoffs? And kids were saying, how many games do we have to win to be successful? And they said, 6 more, which is the rest of the season. Spradlin's like, no, we got to win 11 more, 12, however many years left, 12 more. So the mood there now is, we don't want to just win. We don't want to win to get the playoffs. We want to win a championship.
Right.
And that's the mood that Rodney brought in when he started. That was the plan. Has not made the playoffs since he got here.
Sure.
And that's kind of the mood now over there at Rockwall Heath.
Yeah, Spradlin has the record. He has the pedigree to take this team deep in the playoffs. And he's teaching these kids, yes, you're going to face off against kids that are bigger than you. Yes, you're going to face off against kids that are faster than you or more talented than you. That doesn't mean you can't beat them. And it is a mindset. And I think that's been the difference this year is there's a mindset with the team, there's a mindset with the school, there's a mindset with the community that Heath can be a force to be reckoned with. And it's been exciting to see that tide start to turn in the last 8 months.
Absolutely.
Where Spradlin is marching to the beat of a different drum. And the team, the town, the school are following suit. And it's just been interesting to see, just with the slight change of verbiage, even in the way he talks to the team, in the way that he's talking to the community, the things that he's choosing to be involved in. I've been to every Kane 8th grade game so far, have a vested interest in that team. He and several of the coaching staff have been at every single game cheering on those kids. And what's awesome is to start to see them talk about, hey, you've got a pretty talented group of kids at the middle school level, and he starts saying things like, in 2 years, we've got a pretty deep roster that we can do some special things with. But that doesn't trump the fact that he wants to do something special this year, next year, leading up to those things. But he even said it walking off the field this past Tuesday night. When these kids are sophomores, the 8th graders, and you've got a kid like Josh Hoover who's got 3 years of varsity starting experience, he goes, we've got all the things in place to do something really special, but we want to do special things in the meantime. And just that slight verbiage change has made a huge difference in the town, in the school, and the team.
Absolutely, and it's great to see both head coaches at the volleyball game this past week too. When Rockwall and Heath did play each other, that was great to see. The community as well.
One thing I want to add to that, you have to change the attitude of the fans.
Yes.
Also, and I remember when Rodney first got here, and we go to the playoffs. We did have fans that complained that we're playing over Thanksgiving weekend. Yeah.
Well, that's
and
the
I
best
remember
part.
him saying, listen, from here on out, don't make Thanksgiving plans. You need to make sure you're at home because we're going to be playing football.
Grandma can wait till Christmas.
Exactly.
We're practicing on Thanksgiving morning, and we're playing Thanksgiving
and that's
weekend.
a big thing now. It's like, we better be practicing on Thanksgiving morning. We have for the last 6 years. And
Absolutely.
so that's you have to change everybody's attitude about it. And,
Absolutely.
And like what you said, and you said, where it's just getting to a point of, no. We're not just looking at regular season anymore. That's a formality. We need. What are we going to do in the playoffs? We're not just going to make the playoffs. We're going to do something in the playoffs, and that's great to hear.
Yeah, it's just been the whole demeanor change.
Yeah,
from the top down, the school is excited. When you've got kids who are getting fired up about pep rally themes for the first time since I've lived here, it's pretty interesting just to see how even that change has taken place. Where you have an entire school that's getting behind a team that they can believe in and that they think can go far. One thing to note, if you haven't listened, a couple of weeks back during the Richland game, we interviewed the offensive coordinator, Kendrick McNeil. We interviewed his brother, Corey. Corey was playing in a playoff game at Spring High School in 2016, had a tackle that went wrong, compression fracture in his neck, and he's been paralyzed from the chest down ever since. So that was 3 years ago. And Corey's been rehabbing, trying to get back into college and get some things on track for him. Corey's going to be at the game Friday night.
Yep.
And we've got an opportunity to visit with him in person, and excited to bring that to the broadcast on Friday night to give Corey an opportunity to brag on his brother the same way that Kendrick bragged on him, but a really, really neat story of kind of what's going on behind the scenes at Heath, and we're excited to bring that to you.
And really cool, if you want to buy tickets to this game, cash only at the gate.
That's right.
Or go online and buy them. For Rockwall tickets, you need to go to the high school or buy them at Longview High School or at Longview Lobo Stadium when you get there. Real quick, because I know Billy's blowing up over here, so he's a popular guy around here. I'm also disappointed neither one of you dressed up for homecoming. I didn't see any pictures.
Well, I wore my mom.
And you're on campus. I need you to have some. You wore a mum.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have my
Okay.
mom
He actually has the.
He went
it's
the mum
double-
route.
Yeah,
Okay.
You have to get like the harness thing.
the
It gets
double
really
mum-
heavy.
Mum harness.
Mum harness.
The mum harness.
The mark.
Yeah.
Real quick, talk about maybe the one thing that's going to stand out to you. We'll start with Rockwall first. That's going to stand out to you this week about what Rockwall is going to need to do to win this game. What's the one thing you're looking at that's going to give Rockwall a 1-0 start to district play?
Turnovers. You can't have turnovers. I think that's the big deal. I'm very confident that they'll move the ball. Maybe not like we've seen a lot, earlier this year. I feel confident in the defense. It's just when you play games like this, the momentum is so important, and especially against a team like this. Rockwall still has that. Longview has the advantage. They have beaten Rockwall. Well, they're 7-1 in this series. Last time Rockwall beat Longview was 1932 or something like that.
Wow.
Yeah, and I was only like 12.
You were
So,
Impressive.
yeah, I know. Isn't that crazy? And so,
You've aged well.
it's my second year of broadcasting when I was doing that. So, anyway, but but in these kind of games, the team that is trying to get over that hump, which is Rockwall, these are important things because it's precarious. It's once you do have that turnover, if you do have it, you can't let that. Here we go. You can't have that. You got to say, okay, that's all right. That's okay. But not having the turnover obviously is much easier route.
Absolutely.
So I think you take care of the ball. You make the right read. You make the right throw. Sometimes you can't avoid it, but these are things that I think that's the biggest thing. When you look at the last few games against Longview, when Rockwall had a chance, it was a pick late in the game that kept them from actually winning that game possibly, and so they didn't get the win there. It's those little things, and I think that's a big part of it. I also think, we talk about stops. Coach Webb talks about stops on defense. It's not like the old days where it was like, let's just hold them to 14 points. We just got to get a few more stops than they did, whatever it is. If
Whatever
it's
it
3
takes.
stops and they only get 2, then fine, we'll take it. And you count stops as halftime. That's a stop, whatever. So I think that's another part of it. But I'm confident in the execution. I'm confident in the players. I'm confident we're going to get our numbers and our scores. It's turnovers and stops, and I think that's a big difference in this game.
It's always fun watching Webb and Keene go out. Of course, the THSCA president and then president-elect in this game as well. Always fun to see.
Well, Coach Webb talks about it. We talked about it, I think, off air. I did the interview last night that will be on our pregame show. We do it every Wednesday night. Tyler Street Talk. Tune in, pregame. He talks about it as a chess match when he goes against Coach King because he knows, and Coach King knows, when they show up on the field, like I talked about with the defense, there's going to be some wrinkles there that they're not expecting, or they're maybe expecting, but they don't know what it is.
Sure.
And Rockwall has to face that every week. We could sit here and look at a defense and, they play a 4-3, or they play. It ain't going to be a 4-3 that week because Rockwall's offense is intimidating. Heath is going to run into that if they keep doing what they're doing. Teams are going to trick things up a little bit.
Absolutely.
And so you have to be ready. And that goes to the coach's credit to get these players ready to say, they play a 3-4, but get ready because they may go 4 down linemen. They may bring an extra back. They may, whatever they're doing.
Yep.
And that's a big part of this. But, watching Coach Webb and Coach King go at it, it's really fun. They respect each other. They're friends. And I just enjoy that part of it, too.
It's absolutely classic. If you want to listen to the Rockwall game, it's www.rockwallisc.com. If you can't make the game, but you got to be at the game. It's going to be great. It's going to be an epic atmosphere. Rockwall versus Longview. It is going to be fun. The Rockwall Yellow Jackets looking for their first victory against Longview in the Rodney Webb era. We turned to Rockwall Heath, homecoming 2019. Fun start here for Rockwall Heath. They're 3-1. Of course, Tyler Lee, one of the teams that a lot of people are talking about, especially out in East Texas. That has kind of surprised some people. Didn't really surprise us because we kind of said Mesquite, Tyler Lee, and Horn were going to be kind of the teams making their rise to the top a little bit, and sure enough, they have. Talk about what one thing is that Rockwall Heath needs to do to start out District 1-0.
Honestly, I think it's the same thing. You got to protect the football. Turnovers and stops. We had several opportunities to stop McKinney North. You get a 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5, and you give up a penalty, offsides, or unsportsmanlike conduct. You do something that gives them an extra, breath, an extra life, and that I think that's the big thing. So you've got to obviously protect the football. You cannot give it up against a team that can score on any play. And then you've got to get the stops where you can. Don't give them fourth down. Don't give them second and short. Don't give them third and short. Get the stops. I think for the Hawks as well, on the offensive side of the ball, it's an opportunity you can't have negative plays on first down. We ran into that multiple times last week where, first down, you've got some good momentum and you give up a negative play on first down. Where the Hawks are able to, they've got that explosive offense. They've got the ability to score on any play from any point, any place on the field. But you get into a second and long, third and long setup, and it's almost impossible to overcome. You get knocked back on your heels on first down instead of moving forward, instead of keeping that momentum. I really think defensively, it's going to be getting those stops. Offensively, protecting the football and getting positive yards on first down. That's going to be keys to the game for the Hawks to start 1-0.
Absolutely, and it's rockwallisc.com to listen to the Heath Hawks take on the Tyler Lee Red Raiders as well. It's real cool to have really two of the best quarterbacks in the DFW right here in town, two of the best wide receivers in the DFW right here in town, one of the best receivers in the DFW right here in town. I mean, it's just phenomenal that the most points in this town, both schools right here in the top 6. That's super awesome for both these teams to have. Yeah. It is fun football this year, and it's fun to watch both these teams. And, just in about 2 weeks, I think they're might be going at each other. I think.
Well, I have a question.
That's what I hear.
Yeah, I have a feeling. Yeah, I think we do play each other this year, don't we? Yeah.
Somebody told me that
it's coming up soon, I think.
Yeah.
I have a question for you.
What is it? I
think it's the highway here or something like that.
Classic.
Yeah, Highway 30, something like that. Yeah.
Freeway Classic. Classic. Oh.
Our scoreboard's kind of old.
Our scoreboard is old, yes.
Yeah. With these two offenses coming in, can the scoreboard handle?
I
just see
can we put up 100
popping out. Yeah.
You know what I think we should do? Let's just talk to the coaches about no defense.
Just go for it.
Just line it up. No defense. Just put three safeties.
I got a feeling there's going to be some resistance to that. I have a feeling. But yeah, I just worry about the scoreboard, about it handling this. Yeah. I just feel like it would be like the natural when it starts exploding.
We're going to need to have somebody out there holding a number up there just in case we hit triple digits.
Flipping
of course.
Over the thing. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Hanging the numbers.
Absolutely. Well, it's going to be fun. Of course, it is Beat East Texas Week. You can always put in BEATETX on Twitter as well if you want to put both these teams along with their hashtag. Win the day NJFND. Of course, these two teams going at it against East Texas. Rockwall travels to Longview. Tyler Lee comes here to the Wilk tomorrow night against the Heath Hawks, and I would gotta recognize the volleyball squads. Mm-hmm. One of these teams is going to win district. We know that. It's going to be 1 and 2. The I-30 Classic did kick off on Tuesday, and in favor of the Lady Hawks, 3-0. So right now, Heath does have that 1-0 lead against Rockwall. Of course, it looks the way, unless something just dramatic happens, that these two teams are going to be 1 and 2 going into the playoffs, as they have been the last. Since I've been around, I mean, it's been 1 and 2 almost the entire way. So it's going to, of course, coming down to that. Really good volleyball for these two teams. Even though it was 3-0, Rockwall played some phenomenal volleyball as well. And it was really tight neck all the way. So give some love to our volleyball girls as well. They have been playing some great volleyball.
13th year that the Hawks start District 1-0.
Yep.
They had an 84-game winning streak a few years ago that got snapped last game of the season by the Yellow Jackets. But they have run the table since then. So an awesome opportunity for the Hawks to start off 1-0 again. And Coach Younger doing what Coach Younger does, just getting those Lady Hawks ready, and they start off District 1.
And the funny part about these two teams is it is a rebuilding year.
Yeah.
Yes. And they're still dominant. Right. I mean, it's a hotbed of volleyball here in Rockwall County, so it's really cool to see both these teams doing well.
It's exciting to see Coach Ferguson, his first year as head coach, been an assistant, but putting his thumbprint on it. And seeing these girls go out and doing what they're doing, a little setback there against Heath. They get another shot. Yeah. But it's really fun, again, like we talk about in football, when you have the two dominant teams in volleyball here, knowing that it's a given they'll be in the playoffs at 1 and 2. And we get to start doing some volleyball soon when the playoffs start. So I start sweating because I got to start.
Research.
Yeah. Research everything. What is a volleyball?
Yeah. What do we call that again?
Yeah.
But you look at their records, and it's not very impressive as far as non-district goes, but they're playing the teams that are ranked pretty much 1 through 5 here in the state of Texas, and DFW is one of the best volleyball towns, in Texas. So it might not look great, but that's getting them prepared for what's coming on down the road. Of course, the volleyball schedule does get very tough, and especially when you reach playoffs, it prepares them just like it does for football.
Well, we talked Maggie and I talked a few years ago about volleyball playoffs coming out of Region 2, the DFW area. You almost play a state tournament type schedule in weeks 1 through 3 before you even get to the regional tournament, state tournament. So it's not a matter of being ready for state tournament volleyball. You have to play champion caliber teams just to get to the regional championship and the state championship. And so it's not something where you can say, yeah, if we draw the 1 seed or the 2 seed that we can kind of coast around. You really have to think through, how are we going to set this up so that we don't run into the buzzsaws like Allen, Prosper, Lovejoy, those teams that are
winning
really,
state championships.
Yeah, really good. Byron Nelson. I mean, you run into those teams in the first and second round versus, we'll see them in the state tournament.
Sure.
It's just a whole different setup where you have teams that come from Centex region or Houston, and they can get to 4 rounds deep, 5 rounds deep fairly.
They don't face
fairly easily, but coming out of DFW, you're having to beat perennial powerhouses just to get to the regional tournament, state tournament.
Well, it goes back to these 2 teams, the volleyball teams, expect to win state championships too. So when you do that, you have to measure yourself against the top teams. And so that's what I like about these non-district schedules. And the same as football for us and baseball. And you'll all be having, you get to change your schedule up in football, next year as far as non-district if you choose to. And I have a feeling there'll be some.
That's going to change.
Some tough schools you're going to be playing because you have to. If that's the next step. And so that's the thing. It's a little deceiving when you do look at the records, but these are really, really good clubs. And it's exciting to have that. And then, fall baseball started, and we got 2 teams that are, will be in the mix for a state championship in baseball and all that. And they play some tough teams. And so that's what I love about these 2 schools and this district, and what we, want to achieve is let's just tread water here and feel good about ourselves. Now let's go win some state championships. And that's what's fun about being here.
That's the motto around here. That's what our leaders have said. We're going to be greatness, and that's what we strive for every day. And that's what we expect around here.
It is going to be interesting to see. We have these non-district schedules. You have the different sports: volleyball, football, baseball, basketball. These non-district schedules where they're putting state championship caliber teams on the schedule to prepare.
Get them ready for that. Yep.
It'll be interesting, and not to look too far ahead, but next year being a realignment year, how is the landscape of DFW going to change so that District 11, 6A, or wherever we end up, 10, 12, whatever the number is, what teams might be sneaking into 6A that end up in the same district? What does that look like? How do they frame that so that maybe it's not a non-district game that you're playing state championship caliber teams? Case in point, Rockwall and Heath facing off against a Longview in the first couple of weeks of the district season. A team that's on a 21-game winning streak, state champion. They're looking at state championship hopes again this year. It's going to be interesting to see how the landscape changes over the next couple of years with realignment, non-district schedules, things like that.
Well, 21 seems like a good number to end a streak at, I think.
It's a perfect
I mean, it's a perfect number.
Why not?
I think, why not?
I think so.
22 is not going to happen.
And then end it again when they have
Let's do it. Let them win 1 game and then go back to the yes. There you go. That's how you do it.
Stop it again. Yeah.
That's how you do it. So, of course, we are at Eka Nutrition here. Big thanks to John Flanders come out here once again to do our broadcast. Of course, next week we were at T3 Chiropractic right across from the post office. Looking forward to doing that as well. Any final thoughts as far as your games go? It has beat East Texas week. Let's start with the home team, the one that is going to be a tough one, no doubt. Maybe not the toughest one of the 2 games, but it is a tough game with 3-1 Tyler Lee coming into town. Final thoughts.
I think the Red Raiders obviously want to play spoiler to homecoming. I think that's everybody's goal when you're scheduled for homecoming. Is let's go in and kind of ruin it in front of the home crowd, and Tyler Lee is no different. I do think. You've got the number 1, number 2 rushers in the district playing. If Tyler Lee brings their kiddo, he is injured, so we don't know if he'll play or not. But I think for Tyler Lee, it's coming in. It's trying to spoil homecoming. It's trying to put another loss in the loss column for the Hawks. But for Heath, it's rallying the home crowd yet again. It's getting this community behind the team. Capitalizing on a really neat homecoming experience last night, and let's carry that through Friday, carry it all the way through the game, and put a win in the win column for the Hawks. just capitalizing on all this momentum that's been rumbling for the Hawks over the last few weeks. And you don't want to lose 2 in a row. So go learn what you need to learn. Go out, play the game you know you can play, and air it out. You've got a great quarterback in Hoover. You've got multiple receiving threats across the offense. You've got a pretty nifty little running back there in Zach Evans. Let's put all those tools together and start 1-0 in district.
The mojo is there for Rockwall Heat. Don't forget, come to the game, cash only, or buy your tickets online. You can visit our website, rockwallsc.com/athletics, and then go to tickets. For Rockwall, it's not really a big game at all. It's number 4, Longview. It's the defending state champions. Should be a pretty easy win, so I don't even know why we're talking about it. But no,
debating if I go or not.
In all seriousness, it is going to be a rumble in the jungle by far. It's going to be 2 of the best teams in the state. All eyes, the state of Texas is on this one. I want to give you a little motivation for tomorrow. You can pass this on to the boys. Dave Campbell's Tepper picks Longview to win.
I know. Yeah.
So I'm sure you already knew that. So
and
he's probably going to be watching. So
yeah, I'm sure he will. He may be there.
Yeah.
He ain't invited into our booth. But no, I'm kidding. He's always welcome. But the thing I want to talk about quickly before we give a lot of pub to the offense, I want to talk about the Rockwall defense and some of the guys making a difference on that side of it too. Tyler Ashworth having a great year at Rockwall, with a free safety for Rockwall. He's just, it seems like every tackle he's involved with, like a missile coming in. And then also, I want to give a shout out to Corey Kelly. He's got 2 interceptions. He's listed on the depth chart as a backup in the spur position. But he's been around the ball, got 2 interceptions. I think he has a fumble recovery. And so this defense is really starting to make some plays. Got 4 turnovers last week. And then Sebastian Hinojosa right there at nose guard. He is just taking up so many double teams and everything, allowing the defense to come in and make plays. So I do want to let those guys know that we're proud of y'all and what you're doing. We know it's tough. As Stan mentioned, you go against a dynamic offense every week in this, the way high school football is, and especially in this district. It's unfair. All these defenses sit here, and I can't imagine that every week that they're not just sweating. There's like, what are we going to do with now?
Yep.
And that's it. So that Rockwall defense is really getting better and better every week, and so I'm excited to see what they can do against that Longview offense. It's a different type of offense, as I said. So if they buckle up and get in there, they can make a difference in this ball game. As far as just an overall last word, appreciate what you have, Rockwall, and they have. The fans are showing up. That place was packed last week. I mean,
incredible.
It was full, and you're the number 5 team in the area, number 14 in the 15 in the Harris poll, number 21 in the state at the Max Preps poll. A lot of people are still picking Longview. They're doing it based on what has happened.
What's in the past?
Yeah, what's in the past. At Dallas Morning News, I think only one picked Rockwall, one writer. We'll change their minds. That's fine. And I really think this is a moment that Rockwall can go in and turn that corner and get that win against Longview. It's going to be hard. Man, that's a good team. It's the most well put together team that we're going to face this year. But it's a possibility there. There's a lot of talent on this team. The coaching staff is unbelievable. There's no coaching staff in the state of Texas that gets a team ready more than the Yellow Jackets coaching staff. And I say that based on, I can't remember a game in the last 5-6 years that Rockwall has gone into it unprepared. I mean, they haven't been blown out by anybody, and they are ready. They will be.
It's more been the opposite. Teams coming Rockwall coming in thinking, walk in the park.
Right, exactly. So this is as good as it gets, and this team is only getting better. They got kids. Stan talked about Heath Rockwall, same way. They got kids on this freshman squad that if they didn't have the talent that we had, the freshmen and sophomores that we have on those teams, the JV, and they'd be playing on varsity. But the talent level is so good that it's a good thing. They get this experience down there at the sub-varsity level to get ready and prepped when they do finally move up to varsity. And then they go down to the middle schools and all that. So we got something going on here for a long time. And I am excited about realignment, too, to see what happens. Yeah. And see, we may stay where we're at. There's a good chance we do.
Right.
But I would not want to be any other team in the DFW area that says, oh, we're getting into their district.
I don't want to be in it.
No, not at all. And so this is a really, really fun time. If you can't make it out to Longview, I get it. Do everything you can. The Jacket Jet will be going out to Longview.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
It's all fueled up and ready to roll.
Ready to roll. Haven't decided on what movie we're going to watch.
Yeah, that's crucial.
Y'all have any suggestions?
Pixar shorts, maybe? I mean,
it's not a
short little
flight.
Yeah, not a long
So,
flight.
but we like to. We'll watch a movie on the way back.
Stretch
too.
it out.
Yeah, we'll stretch it out.
Just
But
hit pause, little 3-hour delay.
That's right.
Get the win, come back and celebrate.
We might just rewatch the Rockwall Sportscenter update.
There you go.
And just watch that on the way up there.
Good call.
Let everybody watch and critique what Stan had to say. So
you know what team's really good when we watched. I think it was 2 weeks ago when Longview played John Tyler. Longview won 42-0, but we're all kind of sitting there going, we could beat these guys. But yet they put up 42 points and shut out a good John Tyler team. So it's like, ugh.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm
saying. It's a tough challenge, but it's one that Rockwall can do.
They're up for it.
How many times has Rockwall gone in? They beat the Woodlands, when nobody gave them a
Shunned
shot.
Allen, gave Allen a run for their money.
Give Allen, and then they beat Spring, a few years before that when Spring was undefeated. And they go in there and take it to them.
Absolutely.
And so this Rockwall team,
this is your moment.
This is it. This happens when you play for Rockwall. You're going to get the big win, or if you don't get it, you're right there at the for the taking. And that's what's happened in Longview. I really do think that this is when they get over the hump and they go up there and shock at least East Texas and DFW.
Send a rumble.
And let's see what
happens. That John Tyler game, Haynes King had 2 picks in the first quarter. And
he looked back to normal.
He did, and they scored 42 points in 3 quarters because it was a scoreless game at the end of the first quarter.
Yes, it was.
But for Haynes King, I mean, hopefully Rockwall's watching that film, and what did John Tyler do defensively that caused such a wrinkle in their rhythm? Yes, they did come back and score 42 points against that very good. I think they were ranked number 7, 8. At the time, John Tyler.
Right, yeah, they were.
And they blank them.
Yep.
But you've got
that's a bad game for them.
That Longview defense that's only given up 171 yards a game.
Yes.
But defensively, John Tyler was able to put some hiccups against that Longview offense, and it'll be interesting to see. I'll be watching. I'll keep my phone. We're watching the scoreboard because I want to see. Does Rockwall jump out to a lead there? And these are the games that it's kind of fun to check on each other. Of course, we all ramp up for the I-30 Classic, but throughout the rest of the season, it's like, man, we want them to be successful. I know they're cheering for us. Getting texts in the broadcast, hey, listening, cheering you guys on. Yeah, it's awesome to see, and so hopefully you get to see that John Tyler tape. What did they do to disrupt that Longview offense, and how are they going to capitalize coming out?
And I wish this was one of those weeks that one of us played Thursday and one played
Friday,
because
absolutely.
I want to see
what happens.
The Heath Lee game.
Yeah,
and so it's unfortunate, but and it's one of those deals. And I don't get upset when, like, say your game goes long. If we're short, we can hear the fourth quarter now. Let's hurry up and pack up and tune in and hear the fourth quarter.
Same.
I think after these games, we're all just going to be exhausted after it. It's going to be like,
how many points do we have to hang over
exactly.
Here?
It's going to be a high-scoring 2 games for sure.
Well, it feels like one of those that even the broadcasters are going to leave with a black eye and a sore ribs.
A broken rib, maybe. You never know.
That was a tough one. Yeah.
It's going to be 2 tough games.
I love that. That is just why we do this, and that's why everybody is so involved. And it's so great that Heath has that mojo back, and that the whole area is ready to roll.
I do want to say, and just because we don't get to say this enough, but thank you to those who do tune in. We're averaging over 1,000 listeners a broadcast for the first time, I think, ever. And so it's been exciting to be able to, get tweets into the booth, get texts into the booth to be shouting out. We were nationwide a couple of weeks ago. We had Washington, California, Georgia, and New Jersey, I think. Moms, grandmas, grandpas, tweeting in, texting in, and really awesome to see just how many people are jumping on the Hawk.
Now, is it because of the broadcast itself, or are we trying to get Michael a hair commercial at some point? That man has grown some good-looking hair. I'll give him that now.
We have, there's a couple of faces for radio on the Heath Hawks broadcast team, but Michael Park's hair it
puts y'all all to shame.
Commercial-worthy hair. It
Absolutely.
is phenomenal, and it's like watching a Pantene commercial when he walks in the door.
We need to sponsor Pantene at some point.
We need one of our local salons.
There you go.
To sponsor the broadcast and use Michael Parks' headshot
commercial,
as the commercial. It's phenomenal. It really is phenomenal.
And then our Rockwall broadcast, phenomenal as usual.
Well, and we got some pretty good numbers, listeners.
We're little brother over here.
I don't want it because that is great. That is good. That's really good.
It's a huge improvement.
Yeah.
We'll take it.
I think we had something like, I think last game was something like 6,000 or something with the listeners, which floors me when I grew up in a town of 6,000. Like all of
the entire town
was listening.
Maybe I need to quit tuning in that broadcast. I'm only hurting myself.
No, you're not. No, you're not. You're helping our ratings.
We're canceling each other out.
That's right. No, and that's the great thing about it, because when you do look at these and you want to see all the listeners that are coming in, and Rockwall has an advantage. They've had some successful years and stuff, and that brings the interest also. And so that you're going to grow. It's going to get big numbers. You're already there, and it's going to be bigger. But and that's just all the advertisers out there, the sponsors that are already getting the eyes on or the ears on that. Hey, man, it's a lot of people listening in.
Sponsorship has been
I think
phenomenal.
that Highland Park game, we had something like 10,000 listeners. And I can't imagine what Longview is going to be because there's a lot of people that can't make it. So not only our listeners, but Coach Webb talked about it. He said, man, listen, we're going to have a lot of people in that stadium that are just like, I want to go see a good football game, that live in that area. They're going to show up and try, if they can get a ticket and get in there, or they're going to listen in. So that's just really exciting with all that. And to piggyback on what Stan says, it's so fun to have all the people texting in. You know, you can go onto the broadcast and you have the comment section, and they can chime in there. If you don't know our text number, and I'm not giving it out.
Hold on.
We will tweet that out after the show.
Yep.
How old do I sound when I say text number? But anyway,
is that your cellular telephone?
Yeah, that's on these. These are mobile.
They're mobile telephones.
Yeah, you can do it right in. And so, but anyway, but you can go on there and put the comments. We check that, or when we do the post on Twitter or on Facebook, chime in there. We'll get a shout out to you and talk to you. But like what you said, when you hear the grandparents texting in or getting on Twitter or whatever, and you get a shout out to them. Hey, your grandson's doing great. He just made a big play and all that kind of stuff. It's really, really fun.
We're tweeting and asking parents, are we saying that name right? Like we had one a couple of weeks ago.
We better be, right.
Yeah, I was like, I know we're probably not saying this correctly. Mm-hmm. And so we just tweeted it out. Got a response back. Here's how you pronounce it. I'm like, hey, thanks. Everybody's a part of the broadcast.
Yes, they are.
Jumping in.
It's like they're in the booth sometimes. Yep. And you talk about the nationwide, and then you'll see a few times it's somebody in France is listening, and Denmark, and all that kind of stuff. Yep. And
so we need to teach y'all French and Dutch too at the same time.
Subtitles. Right? Yeah, exactly. But
can they? I don't know. They can do that with us.
With subtitles?
No,
that's tough.
Yeah, somebody's going to have to. What do you say? How did that work?
I don't even have the English language mastered, much less jump into some
That land passes love right there.
It is. But thank you to all those listeners.
Absolutely.
We do really enjoy having them chime in, and please, we encourage you to chime in. If we miss you sometimes, I feel bad. I'm sure you have the same thing. You go back and I missed this one and that one. Just keep coming in. Yeah,
absolutely.
It's a fun time.
These are two of the best in the game on the broadcast. We hope you join us tomorrow, 7:30 each game. Of course, RockwallIC.com, powered by the Sportsgram Network. We will see you next week from T3 Chiropractic. Of course, once again, thank you to Eakin Nutrition here. If you don't know where Eakin is, it's, of course, look for the giant flag right off I-30, the giant Texas flag. I appreciate them for hosting us twice this year. Looking forward to coming back here next year.
And
big shout out for the drinks, free samples of the Bang drink, of course. They are energy drinks. They have 300 milligrams of caffeine.
Yeah.
I think I heard. So
that's why we're so excited.
So now we're all going to go run some laps and do that.
Marathon Sportscenter update.
Exactly. So, but once again, thank you to Eakin Nutrition, of course, John, for having us out here once again. Big thanks to everyone that watched. I had a lot of comments I wasn't able to get through the last few where what's up and Heath is better, go Rockwall. There was a lot of back and forth. So they're all fired up, and I think they'll be fired up here for tomorrow night. And, of course, there's one game after that. Then, of course, everyone's looking forward to that game, the I-30 Classic, sponsored by Toyota. So I'm excited for that to come up here pretty soon. We will see you next Wednesday night from T3 Chiropractic from 5 to 6. Of course, you can join us on YouTube and Twitter. And, of course, if you want to share us on Facebook. We're happy to do that as well. So big thanks to Jet behind the camera. We'll see you tomorrow night from the Wilk and tomorrow night from Longview. Have a great night, everybody. And don't forget,
Jack if I never dies.
Go Heat Hawks.
See you next week.